This is UMass basketball.
I know this. I'm the most animated coach that you've probably ever seen on my team.
Thompson in the front court. Thompson will lay it in. And one. Hey, he's just being Frank.
That is right. It is about time. We are back with another episode of Just Being Frank, coming at you from the John Francis Kennedy Center here in Amherst. My name's Jay Burnham, voice of the Minutemen, alongside head coach Frank Martin. And coach, I haven't spoken with you since the season ended. How you doing? How you holding up?
I thought you went in the transfer portal.
No, hey, I was transfer portal before transfer portal was cool. I went to 4 schools.
I transferred too, Jay. I get it. I hadn't seen you. I thought, I kept waiting for compliance to send that email saying that Jay Burnham entered the transfer portal.
Well, my wife and I have come up with a nice little rhythm where at the end of the year, we've been going to Puerto Rico. So I was out for a little bit of time there. And then you were at the Final Four and NCAA championships.
Yeah. That's, talking about the Final Four, that used to be the week that all coaches, high school, junior college, Division I, 2, 3, we all went there. And whether you were a high school JV coach or you were Roy Williams sitting, on top of the throne as the head coach at Kansas or North Carolina, or Dean Smith or John Thompson, it don't matter. Yeah. We all interacted and just built friendships, and we all got together, and us young high school coaches would literally be in a hotel lobby, engage in a conversation with the guy you're watching on TV, and he's speaking to you as if you and him are best friends. Why? Because we're all in the same boat, and we're all in the world of coaching and teaching and all that and so forth. And I go there and I work. Because of the NABC and the board, which is something I really enjoy doing. But it's the first time I go to a Final Four, and I leave there depressed. And I don't leave there depressed because of what I'm going through. I leave there depressed because I didn't come across a single coach and engage in a single conversation where there was any joy. There was a whole lot of guys, and guys didn't go to the Final Four. They're board members that didn't come because they're at wit's end. They're frustrated. They needed to stay home, and even though it's a dead period, be on the phone and recruit, and most importantly, be around their own players because they didn't want other people getting around their players. And it's a difficult time right now, and I don't say that for anyone to feel sorry for me or anybody. It's just the reality of our profession right now, and I don't care who wants to complain about it or whine about it. Hey, no, Tom Izzo, Matt Painter, Frank Martin, all us old crusty dudes, we're not going home and crying. We're going to roll up our sleeves and work. But it's frustrating because we're seeing a profession that was led by a lot of people before us to give us the ability to now have our opportunities to continue leading in the right direction, sway away from a John Thompson, Dean Smith, and all the great ones before them, that it was about people to now about money, and which are two different worlds. And but we'll figure it out.
It feels like and we don't have to go down this road right away, but obviously the guardrails and the world has changed, and there's really no rules to what's going on in the world of college athletics. But before we kind of continue on that path, I wanted to go back and cover the last game of the season. You guys had a tremendous year, top 4 team, double bye, things that haven't happened here and in quite some time, especially not in my tenure as the voice of the Minutemen. So when it was all said and done after that game against VCU, what did you tell your team, and what were some of the feelings that you guys had?
Oh, man. There was a hollow feeling when the game ended because that team made it fun to coach. They were fun to be around. They were fearless in our approach. I mean, I assume we're eventually going to talk about some of these things because, you know, like in some of these shows, like the lead person, you prepares the spokesperson for what direction the show's going on. You've drugged me into this one blind. So
that's because I like to get raw Frank, like that true emotional Frank. Yeah.
That's usually the good version of me. So
hey, the show's called Just Being Frank. It's not called Just Being Jay. We can.
Well, we need Jay to get the frankness out of Frank. How about that? But it was a hollow feeling, man. It's like you've heard me say this. The season teaches you how to become a winner or a loser as a team, not individuals. And when the seasons pulls your team apart, everybody, the players and the coaches, they can't wait for it to end. But when the season brings people together, and people actually grow and get better, and there's a selfless attitude with how people go about their business, you don't want it to end. Like you keep coaching and coaching and coaching, and I don't care how many practices and how long, you just keep going. And that's the way this team was. You know, it was disappointing. But I told the team, I said it's okay to hurt right now because you invested so much into being good. That's the thing. When you invest to be good, it really hurts when you're not the only team sitting at the top perch. I don't care when you lose. Conference tournament quarterfinals, conference championship game, first run of the tournament, Elite Eight, Final Four. I don't care when you lose. When teams are good and that day comes, it's a hollow feeling for everybody. I wanted our guys to feel to be okay with being in sorrow. That's part of life. When you invest and things don't go the way you envision them going, but be proud enough that when you wake up the next day, you feel good about what you've done. And that was kind of the message I tried to share with the team.
Do you feel, in hindsight now, where you had the bye week and then the double bye, that maybe there was a little bit of sluggishness at the start of that game against VCU in the quarterfinal?
Now, we needed it, though, man. It's like, Jay, our 2 point guards, they couldn't practice, you know, and they both had the same injury, which is crazy. We thought it was turf toe, and luckily it wasn't. And they both had sprained big toes on I think one was left and one was right, and they couldn't move. Matt Cross was just beat up. We had to play so hard, and through physicality to be good. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to apologize for that. That doesn't mean we were inferior. No, that's who we needed to be good. And the guys did it. And because of that, we were good. But because of that, when you play through grace and free and out athlete people, you're not as beat up. We were, like the last game of the season against Fordham, there's games that you lose and you're like, how did we lose that game? Like St. Joe's at home.
Yeah.
After that game, I went home. I was like, how did we lose? Fordham was the opposite. Like, I went home and I was like, I got no idea how we won this game. We were down personnel. We didn't play good. We didn't make jump shots. But somehow, some way, the resilience of that team figured out a way to win, and that's what was fun about those guys. And that I was going to say GW game, the VCU game in the quarterfinals, we needed the days off because we had to heal physically. Guys tried to play even though they weren't healthy, specifically the 2 guards. But we got down. We just, like matchups. You've heard me say this. Matchups is a big, big problem. Like if you let's bring baseball in here, Jay. It's that time of year, baby. That time of year, we get to watch a little ball flying over fences. So if you're coming up to bat and you're a dead heat red fastball hitter, and I throw 99, but it's dead heat. That doesn't bother you. Now, if I'm painting the low outside corner with junk and you can't deal with that, I don't care how hard you hit the ball, you got no chance. And it's all matchups. And even though we beat VCU at home early in the year, we kind of caught them. My opinion, they showed up because they were rolling. I always thought they were as talented a team as there was in the league.
Yeah.
As we were preparing to play them the first time. And we jumped up and made every jump shot in the first half. And we built the lead, and then we were really good defensively, and they couldn't get back in the game. But at the conference tournament, it was the other way around. We couldn't make a jump shot, and they took a lead. And then they started making shots and hard shots at that. But it is what it is. That's why you play the games. But they had big guards. And because they had big guards, it made us passing, it made it harder on us. They made one adjustment from the first time we played to the second time we played. The first time we played, Max Schulga had the ball in his hands. He's not a downhill driver. So we were able to guard him and kind of neutralize them. When we played them in the conference tournament, they put the ball in Zeb, I think's his name,
yep.
Jackson's hands.
Yeah.
He is a use the ball screen, get downhill driver. So now he was coming downhill. And you heard me say this, ball screen defense was our kind of Achilles heel all year. We weren't great on the ball, and we weren't very good defending the ball screen. And that's what we fought all year to get better at. It doesn't mean we were bad. It just wasn't our strength. And he started coming at us, which then allowed their perimeter guys to kind of get loose a little bit for shots. Now you can say, well, there's a difference. When you're 6'6", 6'7", and you got a window to shoot the ball, and I'm 6'1", that window gets bigger for how much time you got to shoot the basketball. I hope that makes sense.
Yep, it does.
And that's, they made jump shots early. Now to our team's personality that was developed during dealing with adversity all year, hit rewind, and I'm going to pick on the year before just for the heck of it. We're in the same situation. That team, who was a pretty good team early in the year, was ready for it to end. And guys just let go of the rope, and we go home and lose by 40, 42, whatever we lost by. This team, we took back-to-back threes to cut it to 3 inside of 4 minutes to go. And we just couldn't overcome it. Too big a hole, and we battled and battled. We just couldn't overcome it.
Did you think that because looking at the teams that made the NIT tournament, it felt like where you were in the standings and the Ken Palm and all the rankings, it felt like there was a good chance that UMass would get a shot. Did you feel like there should have been an NIT and invitation there?
Yeah, I was disappointed. I mean, I get the fact that St. Joe's beat us head-to-head. I get it. I understand.
By a bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, but the bottom line is I thought we play a whole season, not one-game deals. Postseason should not be determined by one game. We play a whole season. I could be wrong. I don't study these things. I really don't. I thought our net was better than theirs, if I'm not mistaken, and we did finish above them in league play. Was I disappointed? Yes, I was disappointed. I was disappointed that they took teams that ended the season below us in the conference standings. I think we had more total wins in those teams. We had more conference wins in those teams. And I could be wrong, but I think our net was better.
Yeah.
So was I disappointed? Yes. And I think our team was disappointed too.
Everyone, not only UMass, wants to know who's on their team next year. And kind of going back to what you said initially about it's a year by year thing now with a lot of these student athletes. So, how do you? I guess you started, you said, by re-recruiting your own players to come back. What's the philosophy? How do you approach even picking up the pieces and going forward for next year?
I mean, now let's hit rewind 1 year ago right now. Like, it was the first year of this wild, real year. The year before was the first year, but last year was the year that everybody was prepped for it. Let's go transfer. And NIL. NIL's available, let's transfer. Both marriages. We only had 3 returning players. Only 3. And we figured it out. And we had 3 guys that were fully invested in who we were and how we do things. And Keon Thompson, Rasul Diggins, and Matt Cross. And think about how much better all 3 guys got because they were fully invested in what we did. And because they were fully invested in what we did, it allowed all the first-year guys to immediately understand, buy in, and follow their lead. It's whether UMass people like it, whether I like it, whether the President of the United States likes it. It's the rules that exist right now. So we can either sit around and complain and mope and pout or realize that, Jay, give me your favorite college basketball coach other than me, because I know you just have like this affection and affiliation to Frank Martin and UMass. But now seriously, who would if you were to like wake up tomorrow and you got to hire a basketball coach, exclude me for obvious reasons, who would you?
You're gonna laugh at me, but I really like Pat Scarry.
Okay, I like Pat Scarry too.
Just because he's interacted with me as a visiting coach, and I think he's a good dude.
I like Pat too. Guess what Pat's dealing with?
Same thing.
And he wins 20 games a year for 7 straight years. Alabama goes to the Final Four. 5 of their top 7 are in the portal. Duke, not peanut butter and jelly university. Duke has lost, I think, 8 or 9 guys to the portal.
Right.
Like it is what it is. I'm not here to. Listen, UMass fans, and this is direct. This is me speaking to you. I'm as frustrated as you are. But it's not the kids, and it's not me, and it's not the other coaches around the country. It's the rules that have been put in place. Everyone's like, if I was 19, 20 years old, and I can go in the portal to find out if I can be offered money, like, why wouldn't I do it? Like, it's just, that is what it is. It's the world that's been created. The easy thing to do is blame people. Blame the coach. He's a pain in the what? No, that kid is disloyal. No, it got nothing to do with all that. The rules are the rules, and people are just saying, well, I want to take advantage of the rules that somebody put in place. And so we can't get mad at the young people for the decisions that they're making. Hey, Jay, all due respect, loyalty is awesome. But when there's a lot of money difference between the only place where money should never impact us is at home with our families. You don't walk away from mom and dad to go live with your neighbors because they have more money. Now, that happens, but it shouldn't happen.
Right.
And but it's I don't know. I don't have the answer. Just we'll figure it out. That's all I can tell you.
Where, okay, you look at, Final Four team, they're losing guys to the transfer portal because really it's, I think, the lack of rules. And there's different states now passing legislation. I think Virginia just passed some, and guys are trying to find out, what they're worth and is it better for me to go somewhere else. So with all that said, I think you said that appropriately, where it's not the school or the coach or the university, whatever. It's just, that's the market that guys are trying to establish their value. To use your term, let's rewind for a second. Matt Cross went in the transfer portal. I think in my time here, he's easily one of my favorite players to watch play the game of basketball. what's a message to, I mean, you also got to think he's a guy that transferred in, right? So the transfer portal goes both ways. Russell Diggins, same thing, transferred in. So Josh Cohen transferred in. What are you proud of what Matt was able to accomplish here, and what is your message to him?
I mean, he changed we went from playing in empty arenas to having the biggest crowd we've had in
10 years.
10 years, 11 years, something like that. They didn't do it because of me. I was coaching here the year before. No one came my first year. They did it because of the way we played. And the guy that led the charge on how we played was Matt. And he's a Massachusetts kid, blue collar, no nonsense, no excuses, and let's just go. I said this when I got hired. Winter's part of life up here, and you got to deal with winter. Winter's now. You don't walk around a pair of shorts, t-shirts, and flip flops and be cool in winter and survive. You got to deal with it, and you don't get to call in sick because there's a couple snowflakes coming down and it's a little bit cold outside. No, you got to get out of bed and go to work. And I thought Matt exemplified that. Matt represented that, and that's so important. That relentless approach, and he got better as a player. And then the selflessness. Here's the other part. Matt was a catch and shoot 3-point shooter at 2 different institutions before he came here. He left here as a guy that played off the dribble, created assist, posted up, shot threes, scored at the rim, rebounded 9 rebounds, 8-point-something a game. That's growth, man. Growth is hard. Growth. It's when I know this. When I see people get better, whether they play for me or somewhere else, I become a fan. And that's what Matt did, and that's why I referenced those 3 guys when we started. That's what gave last year's team a chance, is that those 3 guys led the charge.
The world that the kind of the development that you've created here, where your first year you did have a player on the Atlantic 10 all rookie team, right? And by the way, freshmen are getting squeezed out more and more now as we go forward in this process. 2 first-team All-A-10 players last year. Is there a message where it says, hey, look, if you come to UMass and do the things you need to do, we can put you in a great position. If, you want to come here and succeed and be successful and stay, great. If not, if you want to, parlay that into, an opportunity down the road, that's fine as well. But do you feel like you've created a track record of just 2 years, but a track record of success, of being able to put players in a position to succeed, whether it be here or otherwise?
Yeah, we should have had 2 all-rookie team members. We had 1 this year.
Yeah.
We had 1 in Jalen. We should have had 2 with Jaden. Because I don't know what freshman played more minutes than him during the course of the year, and the way he impacted winning. But it is what it is. It's he's in my book all rookie. And Jay, you're asking me, so I had no idea you're going to ask me. And we had someone on campus yesterday that we were recruiting, and I showed him this list. You can't see it, but you can't see it. I'll show it to you after the show, and then you can take
Kansas State,
keep it.
Yeah, South Carolina, UMass.
It's all individual awards that our players have received, not Player of the Week awards.
Yeah,
like end of year, national awards, conference awards, 6th Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all rookie, all this, all that. I've been fortunate, man. I had a high school team that placed 4 guys on the all-county team. It's what I believe in. I believe in winning. I believe in sacrifice. And when you sacrifice for the well-being of the team, everybody gets celebrated, and that's kind of what happens with my teams and my experience. Keon. Keon didn't get recognized on any of those teams. It was disappointing to me because he played so much better. He grew so much as a player. I think he was in the top 2 or 3 for assists to turnovers. But this league was, and now in defense of the league, this league was really, really guard heavy. There were like some really, really good guards, and Keon was on his way to becoming an all A-10 performer. But that's what it's about. You help people get better, and I don't have a magic wand. Jay, I get a kick. Like you kids commit to whatever school, and the kid says they make pros. Really? If any coach had that magic wand, or a university had that magic room where you walk in and you walk out, I'm a pro, we'd all invest in getting that wand or that room.
Right.
There's no such thing as making pros. No, kids come in and they either work, compete, deal with failure, and rely on the coach and the guidance to get better at basketball and in life, and eventually you earn your way into being a pro. There's only one person that makes pros, and that is that higher being that's involved when husband and wife consume a child, and genetics get involved. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're born and you're 6'9", 260 pounds and a freak athlete. That guy was tapped. But the rest of the other 99% of us, we earn our way into what we get. And it's through work and dealing with failure.
You'll like this. There's a Ted Williams quote, all right? So the baseball, he said, God gets you to the plate, but once you're there, you're on your own. It's up to you.
It's the truth.
So there's some innate ability, but then to be able to succeed once you get there, you have to really put in the work.
There's a lot of talented people that fail. Why? Because they don't put in the work. And there's a lot of people that are less talented that live a lifetime of success because they're fearless of the work. And they don't pout, they don't blame, they don't cry. Well, I shouldn't say they don't cry. You do cry. Crying's part of it because failure hurts. It's okay to cry when you fail, but they don't pout. They wake up the next day and says, you asked me what I told the team. Here's something else I've told the team. I said, I'm really proud of you guys, man. When I walked in this building, you can argue we're the worst team in the league. And my first year, we were still in the bottom. And we took a huge step forward from 12, 13, whatever to 4. Okay, that's part of it. Regardless of how good we feel, it still wasn't good enough. That doesn't mean we stink. It doesn't mean that we got to hate each other. We got to be realistic when we look in the mirror and say, okay, we're 4th. Now we got to do things even a lot better. We got to grow even more because now comes the toughest climb, which is go 4-1. That's the hardest climb there is. That's something else I share with the team, and that's our mindset as we go into this offseason.
That's great. We're gonna have, hopefully, if you're you got the time, I got the time, we could do this on a regular basis across the course of the summer. So a lot of fans were asking questions, I think, about the non-conference schedule, where you are with that. But first and foremost, that you did sort of send out some cryptic tweets last week about having good phone calls. So what could you share with us about those calls? We're assuming that you've been kind of working really hard. Actually, when I got up here, I heard you guys talking about, corralling, players and building the roster. So what you got?
Obviously, yeah, obviously, if the news was about someone on our team, I can make it public. But when it's about recruiting, I can't make it public until they make it public. And the paperwork that needs to be signed is signed. There's days I go home and I'm frustrated because I've learned to build a program the way that the ones before me taught me and the way that it's worked for me. But then I wake up the next day and I'm like, hey, what am I complaining about? Like, I go back to my grandmother. Don't worry about what you don't have. Worry about what you do have. and I come in here and I see how hard Jaden's working and Rasul's working and Jalen Curry's working and Daniel's working. And I'm like, I'm going to worry about those guys. I've got to go find other guys, just like we did last year, that fit those guys, and let's go win. And so when I send these cryptic tweets out, which, by the way, last night I was having fun with some people on Twitter and kind of, you've heard me say this, Jay. I either tweet my thoughts or I tweet stuff pertaining to UMass. I rarely tweet. I rarely read stuff because I don't want to get engaged in that. But for whatever reason, yesterday I was in a really good mood, and I said, let me read some of this nonsense. And I read some, I don't know what I read, some guy replying to my stuff, and I said, let me go have some fun with this guy. And I don't do it malicious, like, and the guy accused me of being drunk or something, so I thought I'd let him know, like, hey, I don't drink. And if I did drink, you wouldn't like me when I did drink. So it's we didn't deal when I still drank. We didn't deal with issues on social media. We headbutted. We headbutted each other, and then we both walked away with a bad headache. And but no, we got some positive recruiting news coming.
Okay.
And I really like I got to tell you, man, these guys, and I'm pointing behind me because their offices are right behind me. The amount of work that the season ends, and we went from that hollow feeling of losing to like 2 days later, 24 hours a day recruiting, and they've these guys behind me, Brett, Brian, Allen, Anthony Evans, they're working their tails off to get us the right guys.
I think we tried a couple times last year to spotlight those guys, and we can. I'd love to bring them back on the show and talk with them throughout the course of the summer. When I see them, kind of, they don't know. I'm always monitoring, Coach. I'm always paying attention. I think you've assembled just an amazing staff here, and those guys. I mean, just in terms of like relationships they have, experience they have, multiple head coaches on your staff. Like they really know how to impact a team in a variety of ways, and I think we're fortunate to have those guys just here,
Jay. And that's why I'm lucky that I've had the success I've had. It has nothing to do with my brilliance. I've ended up with people like them everywhere I go, and I got to go sit behind Brad Underwood's bench in the Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four. I was like a little kid sitting behind his bench. Like I've never been in that moment as a coach. I was there like a little kid, like rooting for my big brother, like go, go, go. And then when that game got away from them, I was hurt. And I've been around incredible people, and these guys behind me are no different. They're phenomenal, and they're about people. They're not about transaction. There's coaches that have always gone about this business in a transactional way, and they hire assistants that go about it in a transactional way. That's not who I am. And so does that make me a square peg in a round hole world? Maybe. We'll find out. But if I go down for the count because I care about people, not money, I'm okay with that. But the guys behind me, they're not transactional. They're also about people. And I think as you're around and you watch, I think you enjoy that because I think you're a people person, and you enjoy the journey, and you enjoy watching young people. It's not about holding people back.
Yeah,
it's about learning lessons so you can succeed in the long run. And if you can make money along the way, more power to you. I wish like heck when I was washing dishes at this local restaurant to help my mom pay bills and I was 14 years old, I wish like heck somebody would have told that restaurant owner that he should pay me more than the $25 a night he paid me. But that's what he paid. So I had to go do my job if I wanted to generate money to help my mom. And it just, that doesn't make me better than anybody. that taught me work ethic. That taught me how to work, because the biggest problem we have, and this is what our assistants fight with every single day, is if there's money being given to people before the work is done, either you're going to held hostage and extorted if they work better than the money you gave them. That's called holding out in the professional world. But those people are contractually attached to the organization. Here they're not. Or number two, they get we're human beings. We get complacent and work less because we got guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And that's the journey to educate young how to handle those two situations determines long-term success. And right now, we're in a place where it's really hard to teach those lessons.
I think about I went to a bunch of different schools for a variety of reasons. And the one thing that was a regret in that field was the fact that I didn't have anyone once I graduated to call and say, like, where's my network of support to help me get a job? Because I just didn't have it. I joined school. I went to communication school late in my career. So I was like, hey, everyone else has already been 3 levels ahead of me, and I had to start from square one all over again. And I feel like that is one of the more tricky things, where you've got these guys and they go 1 year here, 1 year there, and there's no real network that they're able to build to help them along in their careers once it's all said and done. Do you believe in any of that?
Absolutely. That's relationships. Life at the end of the day is about relationships. You don't have relationships when it's money. Money's what ties you to an organization. That doesn't mean there's a relationship there. It's easy to walk away from money. It's hard to walk away from people. It's easy to say, I'm going to leave this $100 behind because I got a chance of that $200 over there. That's easy. It's really hard to walk into some human being that's really, really committed to helping you in life and say, hey, I don't think you're sexy anymore. I like somebody else more. That's hard to do, man. That's not an easy moment to be in. And I also share this with players. I don't tell them this after they transfer. I don't tell them this when they walk in to tell me they're going to transfer. I say this to them during the course of the year to make sure they comprehend. We're all flapping our wings, chasing whatever it is that we're trying to chase. One day we stop flapping our wings. When we stop flapping our wings, we don't just land wherever and say, okay, let me start from scratch. No, we go home. So as a college athlete, when you're constantly changing schools, the day you stop flapping your wings, what's home? The day you have a child, where are you taking your child to and say, hey, I played here? And you walk in a building and people don't know who you are because you were there for a cup of coffee. So no one invested in you. You didn't build relationships with teammates or in that community to be a part of that fabric. We're losing that, man. And not, okay, so let's say we make $150,000. Awesome. How much fun is that money if you don't have a home? How much fun is that when you're 52 years old and you don't have a home? Like you don't get to go back. And Julius Erving, let's talk about him. What are his homes? Let me see if you know.
Here, Philadelphia.
Uniondale, New York.
Yeah.
UMass. Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. Virginia Squires.
Correct. How about you going to the ABA? Wow. Like you're going back in time. But can you imagine if Julius had gone to Uniondale, where his home is, and transferred to some prep school in Utah somewhere?
Yeah.
And then played at UMass his freshman year and Georgia Tech, and you picked the third school, and because he was in college 3 years, and then goes to the NBA, and not ABA, NBA, plays for 6 organizations. What's his home? Where's he celebrated? Where does he like walk in? Like I've always thought, like the guys that get inducted into the Hall of Fame, like you know what their home is with the jersey or the ball cap they put on.
Yeah. Actually, so funny thing, because I asked El Tiante, Luis Tiant for the Red Sox, he still lives in the area here. And I asked him why, and he just said because he's celebrated. Like, they love him. And obviously, like, he was a standout player for the Boston Red Sox, but like that became home.
I mean, college is always about the relationships, whether you're an athlete or you're a student. And you build relationships that last a lifetime, whether it's for business or living, whichever, and sometimes both. We've lost that, man. We've lost it, and like on my staff, you've gotten to know these guys. You hear us speak about it. We all came from the same neighborhood, same high school. We lived as kids in the neighborhood, going to that high school, and then we attended the high school, and then we've continued to be a part of the high school. Some of these guys are going to 4 or 5 high schools. Like, where do they go back to and get celebrated? Like, one of the proudest moments of my career, which also happened for Doug Edwards, is getting inducted into the school's Hall of Fame. Like, I was choked up. I couldn't speak. Why? Because those are not because I had any success as the coach there. That's irrelevant. That's like because of how many years and all the relationships with my teachers, with people that were older than me, people that were my peers, and people that were younger than me, were created because of one building. That's when it's time to go, man, that's what gives you peace. No one cares about how much money you made or how many bills you can pay or what cars you owned or what vacations you afforded. No one cares about that. It's about the relationships that you have. That's what allows you to go in peace, man, because we all have that day coming. And we've lost that, man. I feel bad. I've got it. I'm at peace. Like, I feel bad for this. I tell my son, my oldest son, I tell my daughter, and I tell my youngest son, like, my oldest son went to 3 schools. He was at the first one for 3 years, and then he wouldn't have left the second one, but obviously I got terminated and he got sent out along with me. And so it's my job as a parent to give him a home. If it's something that he wanted to do. I didn't give him a home here because I had nothing better. I couldn't recruit somebody. I gave him a home here because he wanted to be here and I thought he could help us. But it's I don't know. I don't know, Jay. I don't know the answer, man. I just know.
I think, just to reiterate, I think you are very much in favor of players being able to capitalize on their success and movement. It just seems like this 2-year stretch has really been wild west-ish, and I think it's tough on fans too. So
that's who I feel bad for. I don't feel bad for me. I don't feel bad for my profession. I don't feel bad for the players. I feel bad for fans. We've created a great atmosphere with college athletics because the college fan is different than the pro fan.
Yeah.
The college fan is either attended that university, or they invested money in that university, or they're part of the community that university impacts on a daily basis. And it's not just some corporate 500 company that owns 7 season tickets and they just pass them out amongst employees and whatever to go to games. It's a different deal, man. And I feel bad for fans. I really do. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm scared that we're ruining college athletics with the lack of structure, the lack of
continuity.
There's no normalcy to this whole thing. Yeah. It's just wild. Like, I don't mean to drag you into, because I'm not going to use names, schools, people, but I've had coaches that are Hall of Fame coaches tell me that they've had players walk in the middle of the season and say, hey, man, my market value's changed since the beginning of the season. I need more money. And the coach is like, dude, I don't control the money. What are you talking about? And that player walked out left, laid it down. I'm like, and that's the world we're being asked to manage, and we've been extorted.
Well,
we have been extorted. Like players go in the portal, and then they come back and say, "Hey," and we don't know the numbers.
right.
We don't know what's being offered. We have no. Hey, I'll stay, and I'm not referencing anyone on our team on this. When I say we, I mean the profession. Hey, I'll stay, but I've been offered $200,000. If you give me 201, I'll stay with you. I'm like, are you like seriously? Like, it's confusing, man. It's difficult.
I used your line the other day on our radio broadcast down in Worcester, and he said, "I'm not stupid, I'm stubborn," which I put in my Frankisms notes, and we'll continue on that as we go forward.
See, there you go. Now you're acting like a media guy, like you just misquoted me.
Oh no, I'm stubborn, not stupid.
I'm stubborn, but I don't let stubborn make me stupid, because that's a fine line.
Yeah, and so you have adapted as a coach a little bit over these last 2 years because of the changing circumstances.
Everyone's tried to get me to change who I am because, Frank, you yell too much. Listen, I recruit these guys. I know them. They know me. Their families know me. I'm a yeller when it's time to compete. I yell when I'm happy. I yell when I'm mad. It's time to compete. I'm going to yell. If I'm not competing, I rarely raise my voice. But the reason I've always been that way is because my passion is not for winning the game, is not for showing that my offense is incredible or our defense to rotations are impeccable. It's because I'm trying to get two things. Number one, I'm trying to get player A to understand how hard he has to work to achieve the dreams that he has told me that he wants to achieve. And number two, when you're trying to win games, you're trying to build a team. It's not about talent, it's about sacrifice. And when you're trying to get talented people to sacrifice, that's not easy to do. And so that world creates difficulty sometimes, because being great at whatever your dreams are is really hard. And getting talented people to sacrifice is really hard. Mm-hmm. So it creates a lot of passion. But that journey is long. Being great never ends. Sacrificing, you're asking people to give up what they're good at to help others. That's not easy to do. But that's a long journey to build that. Well, right now, we don't have that long journey. So why am I going to be losing my mind over trying to get people to buy into things that I only get this much time to try and get it done? Right. And when we do figure it out in that short window for that immediate moment, the ones that are happy and the ones that are sad are both leaving. And so now here we go again from scratch. That's not how I learned. That's not where my passion comes from. My passion comes from trying to uplift people. And listen, Jay, there's guys that don't like yellers. That's why they pick other schools. That's why I don't recruit certain players. That don't make them bad people. We got to recruit people that fit how we run an organization. And they got to choose schools based on where they can be impacted in a positive way as people. And that's why we recruit. It's not just Jay Burnham starts his recruiting service and he says Frank Martin's a 5-star. Okay, that means he's got a lot of talent. But Frank Martin better find what school where he connects with a coach that uplifts his 5-star, not drags his 5-star down. And that's why recruiting is so important.
Okay, wrap it up here. Again, we'll be able to do these hopefully on a regular basis, so we can keep taking people's questions. But the biggest question surfaced was the out-of-conference, non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
What's the strategy as you put that together, and how is that coming together?
Yeah, we and there's some, there's a couple games that people are aware of because they've kind of they're out there. I don't like marketing department Ryan Bamford and our marketing department, they've got a plan on how they want to release schedules and all that. I'm not into trying to outdo them to create noise. My first year, the schedule we played pretty much was inherited.
Mm-hmm.
Second year, we ended up playing a lot of home games, just the way the schedule broke, and some of the youth on our team. We had 8 freshmen. I made a plan going into the year that's how the direction we were going in. So we had to kind of protect our team a little bit early, more than anything, to allow us to grow. This year, we put a schedule together, not thinking that we're going to have, 6, 7 transfers, whatever it is. I've lost track. I used to know how many transfers we had. Now I know how many returners we got. That's how sad this thing is.
I read a tweet the other day that said Boston College lost all 5 of their starting players. I mean, it just
it is what it is, Jay. We're not going to keep commiserating.
okay.
You pick the school, and I promise you they've got 3 or 4 transfers at minimum.
How many transfers you got?
But we had an idea as we're putting the schedule together that the core of our team, majority of our team, was going to stay in place. And I've said this for a long time. I like coaching good players. Good players like playing in big games. And that's what it's about. You're around our team. When we played West Virginia last year, there was a certain going on with our players. They were excited about that. We played Georgia Tech. There was a certain going on because our guys were excited about that. We're going to keep challenging our guys with those kind of games. I think that non-con schedule, it's definitely the best one from a competitive standpoint that we've played since I've been here. We're still playing a game in Springfield. We're obviously playing in the multi-team event that was, released. Somebody released it.
Mohegan, right?
Correct. We've got the West Virginia return game. We will continue. We've got a home game against a team that was an NCAA tournament team this past season. We got road games and we've got guarantee games. It's our schedule's going to be hard. It's which is the way it should be. As a coach, you're miserable at the end of the year because you're tired.
Yeah.
Not because you're winning or losing. You're tired because of the work. Winning and losing is part of the journey. If you can't handle that, you shouldn't coach.
You look at the A-10. I mean, last year it seemed like Dayton had been anointed an at-large team before the conference play even started, even though they didn't really have a ton of marquee wins. And then the A-10, has really tried their best to get 2 teams in. It used to be 3 and 4 here in the league. Do you factor that in to say, hey, look, if we want to even be in consideration for an at-large, we really have to stack it up in this what we can in the non-conference slate?
Like, we've all fallen in love with the analytics and everything we do, and all that net stuff is a trick. Bottom line is it's no different. Dayton got a lot of credit last year because they beat St. John's with Rick Pitino on the sideline. And whether that's right or wrong, it's Coach Pitino. He's earned that kind of respect for how good he is at what he does. So when Dayton beat them, that gave them a lot of credit, even though St. John's was not an NCAA tournament team when the season ended. Yeah. So it's that's why you have to schedule coaches that are respected and programs that have attention in non-conference play. And then you got to go back and win league games. And, it's just simple as that. It's not complicated. And when you do that, then your metrics should be halfway decent. I used to like it when it was all about who you play, where you play, how many you win, how many you lose. I thought that was a pretty simple formula. But we've entered all these metrics, so now point differential. And if, like, for example, Jay, if I play your team and your team is really good defensively, we're probably not going to score a lot of points.
Right.
If your team plays in a real, like, methodical, slow way, it's going to be a low-scoring game, and you're really good defensively, our percentages are probably not going to be very good. We win, our number goes down because our metrics in the game are bad. That makes no sense to me. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I know. I think a lot of people are given the narrative I heard was that the Big 12 beat up on a lot of 300 Ken Palm teams and below, and then were able to boost their value. So I just want to get to a couple questions from the fans as well. The
Absolutely
was the biggest one.
Jay,
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
I've been dealing with 24 hours of recruiting phone calls, of which 98% of them end up in a bad place. So doing this with you right now, it's kind of enjoyable. I'm really, really enjoying this.
I'm glad we could find your joy somewhat. This is going to make you this is going to make you smile too. Stupak wants to know your all-time NBA starting five.
Oh, wow.
This is on the spot, by the way, so I apologize.
NBA starting five.
Yeah.
Jordan, Bill Russell, Bird, Magic, LeBron, Julius Erving, six man. And he's my favorite player of all time.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
That's off the top of my head. I don't know, all those guys were defenders, selfless, and winners. That's why those are the first ones that came to my head.
And I guess Mr. Rodak, our good season ticket holder, super fan, Kevin Rodak, all-around community man of Hadley. I guess he gave you some horseradish for Easter. What is that, like the root? Did he have like made horseradish in a jar?
Jay, you're probably going to like hit the leave meeting button here and throw up. I love a good steak and put some of that horseradish in the steak. Oh my God. My wife and I crush it. It's one of the great things being here is obviously with Kevin and his family, but the farming community at Hadley, the farm to table food that we get around here, it's great. It's not good on my gut, but it's great to eat. It's I keep trying to get rid of my gut, and I'm having no success because the food around here is so good. But yeah, Rodak, he gave me 2 big jars of horseradish, and that's unbelievable.
If he made it to the end of listening to this podcast, I'm putting my request in for some horseradish because I absolutely love it. Coach, good luck on the recruiting trail. Happy to keep seeing these guys working out in the gym, and we'll be talking. We'll be checking in, and we can kind of dive a little bit deeper into the development of some of these players and how things are looking like for the summer as we go forward. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Hopefully next time we do this, whenever you choose to do it, I'm available for you every day. But whenever you choose to do it, because your schedule.
Hey, we have football spring game this weekend. Are you going to be there?
Jay, come on. Like, I'm a team guy. You should know better. By the way, we've got, obviously I can't advertise recruiting, but we've got a very important weekend for us this weekend, and I think the weather's going to be beautiful, and so we're excited to bring in a guest and a family in here, and football spring game, and love them up, man, and see what happens. Hopefully next time we do this, our roster's in a place where I can speak a little with more clarity as to what we're going to be moving forward. But for UMass fans, man, it's going to be okay. It's a different moment for everybody. It's going to be okay.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks so much. He's head coach Frank Meyer, and I'm Jay Burnham. Until next time, he's just being Frank. We'll see you later.